Welcome back, baseball family. Today we're going to talk about MLB lockout updates, some drama happened with Rob Manfred again, and then players we love coming right now.
9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome back, baseball family, to another episode of the Baseball Together podcast. Unusually, as I'm sure that you've noticed, Brad is not here with me today. We decided that because it's his birthday, the dude deserves a day off. That made a whole heap of sense to both of us. So we're excited for him. He's turning 12. He's 12, for those of you wondering, and it is on Valentine's Day, his birthday. So next year, you can send him cards and voicemails and things like that for his birthday. Or do it now. You should do it now. You should get on baseballtogether.com and send that cat a voicemail wishing him happy birthday, because that would be absolutely incredible. All right. We've got a lot of stuff we want to get into today, that I want to get into today, that we have to cover, because the negotiations between the Players Association and the league continue to be 100% abysmal. And it's almost as though we are dropping down into, fewer details are being shared on some elements of this, and more details are being shared on others. And really, I wonder when we're going to really get down to grade school bickering and name calling and things like that, because what these feel like right now is that we are in some third world bazaar haggling over handmade pottery or something. And, everybody knows that's the fun of it. And that's the point. It's culturally baked in and everything. That's what this feels like. But guess what? It's not. It's not that. We are stuck in the middle of this bickering. Us, we, the fans, the royal we are stuck in the middle of this bickering, and we are the ones that are about to lose. Not to say that they're not going to lose. They're going to lose too. But why is this a lose proposition? This is ridiculous. So let me get into some of this right now, okay? The league is reporting being, quote, underwhelmed by the players, and the players are, quote, unimpressed with the league and their offers that they're making. So translation, nobody's happy, and a bunch of neener blown raspberries, and you're stupid, and I am rubber, you are glue. That's what this feels like to me. Okay. So let's get to the first issue, bonus pool. Okay. Having a bonus pool specifically for those players in arbitration, pre-arbitration stuff. What they're saying is having a bonus pool is not the issue. The size of the bonus pool is the issue. So the Players Association first proposed $105 million. The league countered with $10 million. Then the players dropped their proposal to $100 million. So from 105 to 100 million. And the league ups their ante from 10 million to 15 million. Again, like I say, baseball family, this is just them going back and forth. And it sounds like they're just trying to make each other angry. You know what I mean? This is just beyond point proving at this point. The luxury tax is another thing. The luxury tax continues to be a huge issue because for whatever reason, they do not want to put in a salary cap, an official, traditional salary cap. So what they're going to do is they're trying to stick with the luxury tax idea. And for those of you that don't know, the luxury tax quite simply means that if a team spends more than a certain amount, they break this threshold of spending for player acquisition and on the field talent, then what can happen is they are taxed against a certain amount at these hefty percentages to make sure that, and it's intended to discourage them from overspending and buying a bunch of players that makes it so smaller market teams cannot compete, right? Because they have lower revenue. So what the league has done and what the previous CBA is trying to accomplish is to discourage teams from spending outlandish amounts of money that they have in order to completely beat out all the teams in all the other markets, mid and small size markets. So instead of introducing a salary cap, they're still talking about luxury tax. And the league initially, the league said, you know what we're going to do? Here's what we think the luxury tax should look like. Let's make it $214 million cap in 2022, and let's keep that through 2024. Then we're going to raise it in 2025 to $216 million. And in 2026, we'll jump it to $220 million. Well, that's what they wanted. And now the players say no. And the league says, okay, well, what about this? What if we do $214 million, 2022 and 23? Then in 24, we'll make it $216 million. In 25, we'll make it $218. And in 2026, we'll make it a $222 million luxury tax. Obviously, these are keeping up with the projected inflation, things like that. And the players keep coming back and saying, guys, no, what we want is what we've wanted from the beginning. We want somewhere between $245 million and $260 million available for the entire 5-year period till we talk about this again. So instead of a tiered approach where they're racking it up and they're stepping it up as the years and progress, the players are saying, no, just up it now, get it over with. And the league's highest offer was $222 million in 2026, and the players want no less than $245 million from the beginning. So again, there's a huge disparity there that's just getting in the way of this. But it feels like a tit for tat, quid pro quo type negotiation, and it's not working. One thing, well, it's not all failing. One thing that is working is that the universal DH is now almost certainly coming to Major League Baseball. This is something we've seen coming for a long, long time. It shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. If it is something that bothers you, it bothers me, you shouldn't feel alone. I do. I don't like the universal DH. I get it. I see the point. I've heard all the arguments. Obviously, Brad is full of arguments about the universal DH, and I have other friends that it's just their favorite thing in the whole world to tease me about. But I just, it's not my thing. It's just not my thing. So, but it's coming, and I'm just going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have to figure out how to enjoy the National League in a different way now. So you will too. Welcome to the party. We can all gripe about it together. And then in 10 years, let's look back and see if it was really as big a deal as we thought. Again, some of the changes that have come that we thought, oh my goodness, you mean they're going to limit mound visits? Ended up not being a big deal at all, right? Like at all. So I'm hoping this will be the same thing, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels more fundamental than that. It feels more foundational. And the purist in me is not happy. Man, it feels so good. I could just say all this without getting the other side of the story today. Thanks, Brad. All right, let's move on. They're still battling over league minimums as well. Okay, this is talking about, again, going back to those pre-arbitration players not getting paid enough money. And this is something the Players Association has been really upset about from the beginning. It's been discussed. It's something that's probably never going to go away. The players are always going to want to see themselves and their brethren, their kindred spirits or whatever, get paid more and more and more and more. I mean, that's a big part of what's going on in this negotiation anyway. But they're looking out for those people on the bottom that are they've just broken into the league, especially in that first 3 years of service. They are looking into how do we give those players more money? And it's a pretty good argument, because 46% of the league, according to some reports, 46% of the league are people who are players that are in that first to third year cap, or that window that we're discussing. 46% of the league is a huge portion. That's a big chunk of players and human capital, if you look at it from a business perspective. And so what you're going to end up with is you get a bunch of guys that are demanding more money, and it is going to take a huge chunk of change from the owners and the clubs to really put up with that, especially if it is 46% of the population, the player population. So here's what has been proposed. The first one that I saw was, one proposal was just a flat $630,000 for all pre-arbitration players, years 1 through 3 minimum, because that's the way it's going to be, right? That wasn't a favorite idea. So, which is kind of interesting, because the counter proposal was that they would use a tiered system, and it would go from $615,000 a year to $725,000 a year, marking that third year service time. So in that circumstance, the league, the owners, they're going to lose out in the end if they go with a tiered approach, because they're just $15,000 a year under the $630,000 cap in the previous proposal. But then they're going to end up spending more and more along the way, capping out at $725,000 for that third year. So I don't know why they wouldn't accept the $630,000 flat fee across all 3 years of pre-arbitration. I don't know. I have any idea why they wouldn't do that. But they are bickering. Like, any of you read that article I wrote about mom and dad fighting again? That's exactly what's happening here. And it's just chaos. And it's stupid. Okay. Now let's get into service time manipulation. This is another thing that keeps coming up. I feel like there are buckets, right? Like, what are we going to talk about here? And then we're going to talk about here. So service time manipulation is another one. It's a little bit of update on that. The previous proposal we heard, and again, this is all updated as of 12 February. So if you're listening to this on 15 Feb, that's the date. Okay. All right. So the previous proposal was that all top 100 prospects that were selected to opening day rosters and maintained, a certain number of games on the 40-man roster, could equal a draft pick for the teams if they finish in the top 5 voting for MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, right, during their arbitration eligible seasons. Now, if what has changed, though, the league came back and said, you know what, we're going to offer you a different deal. What if instead we say that those players, they still are on the 40-man roster from opening day on, and if they finish in the top 3 of voting for most valuable player, Rookie of the Year, and Cy Young, then you get 2 draft picks. 2. But they have to finish in the top 3 of those voting. They don't have to win. They just have to finish in the top 3. In the previous proposal, they had to finish in the top 5, but it only gave them 1 draft pick. In this case, top 3 voting, 2 draft picks. That's a pretty big deal. If you consider Chris Bryant won the Rookie of the Year and then the MVP, or he certainly was in the top 3 to 5 voting. It was certainly in the top 5 voting MVP the following year. So with the Cubs, obviously. So anyway, that would have been a huge deal for Chicago back then, just as an easy example. Okay. So it's interesting to think about that proposal. I don't see it's a terrible idea. It certainly incentivizes teams to give their young talent, like true talent, a good chance up at the bigs instead of holding them down. But I wonder if there's just going to be another way to loophole this as well. Probably teams will only bring up one at a time or something like that. There's a lot of different ways this could go. But anyway, that is the update on the proposal. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it either. And I know that's middle of the road. And I wonder how Brad would feel. I'm going to have to ask Brad how he feels. I should text him right now. Hey, happy birthday. How do you feel about service time manipulation proposals? All right. So Scott Boras, Scotty B, our favorite guy, he is weighing in on all these negotiations because it has to be about him. And also, he's very involved. So he is saying something that this is probably the first time I've really aligned with what Scotty B has ever said. But he says that competitive imbalance issues are truly driving away the fans. He used the really inflammatory term cancer. He says that this is a competitive cancer. And if the team does not, the league is not willing to address the competitive imbalance issues that we have, then we are going to drive away fans in droves. And he's right. He's not saying anything we don't already know. It's just interesting coming from him. Obviously, a big part of his business is making sure baseball stays around. It's because that's how he makes his money. But he points to the abbreviated draft system that was instituted back in 2011. Used to be that you could draft anybody you wanted, and the draft just kept going and kept going and kept going until they were done. Until every team said, "No, we don't care anymore. We're done." It took days and days. Now what you see is a cap. It's like, no, this many players, this many days, we're done. The league has said we're going to stop this nonsense. So, and that was 2011. So he thinks that that's the biggest part of this. I'm not sure I believe him, but with the system that's so complex like this, you can't look away from every little teeny detail. You have to analyze all of them and the effects that they've had since the changes had been made, which is exactly why the CBA is taking so long to negotiate, because everybody knows that each little thing is going to be a bigger thing later, right? That was going to have a protracted effect on everything for the most part moving forward, especially in terms of money, because nobody knows what's going to happen with that. I think in terms of changing rules like the designated hitter rule and things like that, I don't think those will be so protracted, because you can just decide to change them, but it doesn't have a why. There aren't very many variables that are going to affect that, right? Same with the mound visits. But when it comes to money, there's a lot of different variables and a lot of different unknowns at play. So you just have to consider that very, very carefully. I'm telling you everything you already know. But last thing I want to tell you about this is that the players are feeling united. So the players met a couple of days ago in Arizona, and they had an association meeting, and all the player reps were there. And apparently there were more players rival than ever before. I don't know about ever, but they apparently Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge were surprised by the turnout, because they had over 100 players there at that meeting. And so Garrett Cole tweeted out, he said, "It's exciting to see solidarity so high." And I think that the more time goes by, and the fewer decisions that are made and the more at risk the season becomes, we're going to see these players really, really start to get together and start acting more as a union rather than relying on their player reps to do all of the talking for them. There's going to be a lot more solidarity than this. This is just evidence of, I think this is a power play. I mean, I think it's going to unify the players. Obviously, that's what's intended to do. But I think it's also a power play just to show the league, like, hey, we had 100 people show up, or more than 100 people show up to this meeting. We are all very, very closely paying attention, which I think, I mean, you take that for granted, right? Like, of course, they're all paying attention. But doing this and gathering together to talk about it in person, they traveled in order to do so, some of them. I just think it is a show of force, and I think it's appropriate, because if the league isn't going to figure it out, and meet up and come to the negotiating table, which they said they've been doing but haven't been, then you're going to end up with a really, really angry group of baseball players. And what we're seeing is teams are. I know we're not supposed to have scabs and we're not supposed to have replacement players. That's baked into the current CBA, but what we are seeing is lots of weird minor league deals and veterans going to minor leagues and stuff. And for my money, the league is shoring up something, whatever they're going to do, because we know minor league baseball is going to happen. And so they're getting these veterans down in the minor league camps and clubhouses to, I think, show the younger players what's what and get them ready, maybe at an accelerated pace. But B, also, maybe they need to pull them up. Like, if the players decide, no, we're not playing ball anymore, then this could get really ugly. And I don't know what could happen, but I wonder, where is it stipulated that these are replacement players or they're not? Is it truly a replacement situation if your guys are in the farm system? They've always been in the farm system. They've been doing it, and they're playing baseball. They're active participants, in this under the management. You just got to wonder, could Major League Baseball put on a show without the core 40-man rosters? I know obviously they could. They're going to. That's what the minor league system is. But could they bring up players to, I don't know if you can call it replacement, right? But maybe they are replacements. I don't know. It's just one of those things that I sit up at night thinking about. I wonder if I'm the only one who says, now wait, how do we define replacement? Is it truly a replacement? Are these really scabs? Because they're actually, anyway, that's how I feel. That's what my brain does. Rob Manfred continues to stick his foot in his mouth. He said the stock market is a better investment than a Major League Baseball club, than a team. And first of all, you just have to ask yourself, like, what in the world would cause you to affirm that? I mean, come on. Now, obviously, it was during a press conference. He was asked the question, so he gave a direct answer to a direct question, which I guess you have to respect. But what was most interesting about it is the reports that I read said that Rob Manfred reported, he said, yeah, we actually brought in an investment banker who told us the answer to that question. And the answer is that, yes, it would be more lucrative and less risky to invest in the stock market right now than it would be a Major League Baseball team. So my favorite report on the topic was actually from The Score, Brad's favorite news outlet for all sports news, The Score. Download the link. We don't get paid for that. It's just a really good source. Travis Sawchik is the author of the report that I read, and you can go read it. It's short. But he said he disagrees with Rob Manfred. He's like, no, that's not true at all. So he goes back and cites the S&P 500, and he says that the S&P 500 between 2002 and 2022 has shown that the value of the S&P 500 has increased by 309% in that amount of time. From 2002 to today to 2022, there's a 309% increase in the S&P 500. But the average MLB club over the basically the same period of time showed a 566% increase. Like, where? So for I don't know who's right. I'm not a numbers guy, but what I think is interesting is that who's right doesn't matter in this situation as much as who's Rob Manfred. Like, what is his deal? Why would he discourage active involvement at a financial level at all? I mean, he's there. So what this makes me think is that any of these owners and stuff, whom he's charged with representing, he's looking at them going, y'all are dumb with your money. I don't know. I mean, it's been 20 years, and I'm telling you what, you guys over the last handful have made some really crappy decisions. I'm telling, from my perspective, baseball family, the crappiest decision they made in that amount of time was bringing in Rob Manfred to represent them. And I've said it a million times, but he is just so ridiculous. The guy blows my mind. He wasn't just speaking off the cuff. This isn't some bonehead mistake that he made. He actually said to the question, you know what? That's interesting. We hired somebody to help us dig up that exact information. And as far as I understand, you'd have to be an idiot to buy a Major League Baseball team right now. And then for that information to be potentially completely wrong is even better. Oh, guys, I am in love with with the buffoonery of Rob Manfred. I love when he speaks because it's just so ridiculous, and I can't wait for him to leave so that we can finally get on hopefully somebody with any sort of sense at all. Okay. Couple more things on this. Because of the lockout situation, Major League Baseball has completely halted all drug testing, and that's interesting. I don't know who will or won't be taking advantage of that situation. Robbie Cano might be one of them, actually. But this is going to affect things, and I wonder if they're going to have to grandfather in some sort of like rule that we're not going to drug test anybody between, for the first however long of the season, because we publicly, we made it clear that we weren't going to do that during the lockout. Or that it wasn't happening. We got out very quickly. And so I wonder if they're going to have to say, okay, the average anabolic cycle, and it's going to take, 4 weeks to get out of your system. Okay, so let's reasonably expect that pitchers and catchers were supposed to report on blah, 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 but we waited this long. Like, are they going to do all the math to figure out that the average, player should be reasonably expected to be clean, to test clean anyway, by such and such a date? I don't know. If they don't do that, it would be so ridiculous if they just say, ooh, random drug testing, it's happening now in your clubhouse. You will be escorted in there the first day of camp. Man, that's going to talk about driving a wedge. But things have gotten petty enough that I can see something like that happening from a league's perspective, especially for those 100 people that showed up to the Players Association meeting. If that list of names ever gets out, it would be really interesting to see if the league will be petty enough to target them in these backhanded ways. It's possible. It's totally possible. I have no idea. But at this point, I wouldn't put anything behind or past Manfred and his crew. And they're going to get theirs. They're going to make sure they get theirs. And hopefully the players can get what they need to, because that's what it's all about. Quickly, on a sad note, it was ruled by the medical examiner that Jason Giambi's death was actually a suicide. And so that's just terrible. Our hearts go out to him and his family in the wake of that. We, for the record, are very aware of suicide and here on the show. And if you're in trouble, if you need help, you know, the crisis line is available for you. It's a nationwide suicide hotline. If you're having thoughts of that, you can always call. I'm going to pull it up right now. You can always call somebody. There's somebody that's there to help you at all the time. It's where is it? Why is it? How come you Google suicide and not get it? Pardon me. It's 1-800-273-TALK. TALK. 1-800-273-TALK. And that's talk is 8255. 1-800-273-8255. So if you're in a situation where you need some help, you can call and get some help, okay? Don't you have to do it alone. Okay, baseball family, with that, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, Brad will be with me at a previously recorded segment of the episode where we discuss players that we absolutely love and hope to be in long-term relationships with as players.
No matter which ballpark you're at, you want to rep your team. Now you can with 9+ Us. Welcome to the Big City Series. With every design available in your team's colors, you can fit in with the home crowd or stand out on the road. Either way, we have the colors you crave. Shop the Big City Series and find designs that rep your favorite baseball podcast, cheer from the cheap seats, and much more. Shop the Big City Series only at 9plusus.com.
Welcome back, baseball family. So today, since it's Valentine's Day, on the day that well, let's be honest, this is pre-recorded. I'm taking the day off because it's my birthday. We're just going to say how it is. Yeah, so this is releasing Valentine's week. How's that? We'll go there with that. We thought we would talk about players we love. Now, we did have to go into some, I guess you could say, some parameters, some rules with this, because we could go in and obviously just talk about so many players with this. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to say, who would you like to have, as a fan, of course, a long-term relationship with? These players, who is going to be around for the long haul? So what we did is we put a cap at 25 years old, right? Because that makes good logical sense. I think. Anyways, so. And as we got going into this, it was kind of like there's a ton of young talent in Major League Baseball right now.
Probably more than we've seen in
a decade at least.
I was going to say like 10, maybe 12 years.
A while.
Yeah.
And first off, I got to say, I think it's a really good thing for the game, right? Because young stars are fantastic.
Always.
So what we decided to do, instead of just doing our top 5 players under 25 who we love, we're going to break this up into 3 different episodes for you guys. And today we're going to talk about infielders. So today is our top infielders under 25 with our players we love. Brig, take it away and lead us off.
Don't tell me what to do, Brad.
I am your coal mine supervisor.
You are right now. I'm going to go with a guy who has been in the league for, let's see, this is currently, and let me preface this. 2022 can be their age 25 year for my money. Like, I'm okay with that, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
That's what I did. So this guy has been in the league 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years successfully. Right? His age 25 year will be 2022.
Okay.
He's an all-star, Silver Slugger. He's been in the MVP race as of number 13 is what I have here, and that was in 2021. 2-time all-star. He has an overall WAR career. Again, this is a short-term career, but career WAR so far 14.4. Career batting average sits at 273. His OBP is 325, slugging 477. OPS is 802. He's a second baseman. He plays for the Atlanta Braves. It's Ozzie Albies.
I knew it. You know how I knew?
Yes!
He's my runner-up.
Yes!
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah, he is a solid choice. Go ahead and tell us additionally why, Brig, because I feel like you laid it out pretty good there, like why he's a player you love right now.
Well, I think that what we're going to see is more out of him, and that's what's the point of this exercise, right? Is to find out guys that we're going to see more from. But I think that he could be a long-term presence in Atlanta, and I love the idea of franchise guys who stick around, kind of like that core four in New York back in the '90s, or when the triple threat pitching team in in Atlanta back in the '90s as well.
Oh,
Stuff like that, right? The big red machine, like I want that to come back, those things to come back. So I think he could help anchor some of that in Atlanta, in addition to everything that I've already laid out. And what's cool is we've seen him in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that we've seen him in the postseason. So those numbers include postseason runs, and that's awesome. He's been a part of 8 series in the postseason over the last 5 years.
Well, and so not only we didn't just see him in the World Series, he actually showed up.
Right.
Like he had a great series.
But I'm just saying playoff baseball at all. Mm-hmm. He happened to also participate in a World Series and stand up and deliver. Right. Mm-hmm. So he's played in a wild card game, 4 games for the NLDS, 2 games NLCS, 1 World Series, 2 championship series, 4 division series races, and 1 World Series. That's what I meant to say.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's a lot of playoff baseball for a guy who's only been in the league 5 years.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he is 25, just barely, and he's been in the league 5 years, to me, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Right. That's really where it comes in. Yeah.
In his age 21 year, he played a full 57 games, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then he's never played like significantly reduced games, except for the weird COVID
and so this is one of the things that I think is crazy, specifically about the Braves and talking about Albies, is that first off, Albies I feel like has been overshadowed by Acuna, because Acuna is another stud, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Massive star, the big personality. Albies is just about everything Acuna brings to offer, but in the infield. Like he doesn't have the power, but he gets on base and he does what he needs to do. He gets the job done. Brig, I feel like we're all guilty of looking past the Braves the last 3 or 4 years. We saw them come in to the playoffs last year. It's like, okay, yeah, like this is a good team, but they weren't quite ready. And then this year, disaster struck, and we're kind of like, well, that's it for the Braves. But they plugged and played. And it's like, it's because they had a strong core that they had already built up going in, like leading up to those injuries, that it's like, okay, yeah, this is a really good team. And Albies and Freddie Freeman have been part of that core and consistency that led to the World Series. And I think, people should be paying more attention to Albies.
I think so too. Especially because we're going to get a lot more out of him.
Yes,
from him.
Sure.
From him. Let's put it differently. Since we're in the middle of a CBA, we're going to see a lot more positive performance from him. It's very exciting.
I agree.
All right, Brad, who you got?
My first player is somebody who just recently turned 24. That was on the end of January. February 1st, he just turned 24.
Okay.
He has had 2 years in the league. This last year, he became a regular full-time starter for his team. He's a middle infielder. Very exciting. I've talked about him before. I love watching this guy just because, like I said, he's exciting and fun player to watch. I'm going to go with Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins.
He was my runner-up.
Hey, there we go.
That's the guy I would replace with Ozzie Albies. I was like, no, I want to go with somebody else.
And see, I put Chisholm was one of the first guys on my list.
He was for me too.
Because I just had to verify that he was under 25. I was like, he's got to be. He just seems really young. But this is the thing about Chisholm, is that like he doesn't have like slappy in the face outstanding numbers, right? Like he hit 248 this last year. He stole 23 bases, but he led the National League with 8. He got caught stealing 8 times. And I don't care if a guy gets caught stealing bases, because for me, it's like he's being aggressive. He's going out there. And the fact that he led the league getting caught trying to steal bases is like, the dude is just going to keep trying. He's going to keep going. And that's one thing that I love, because We didn't talk about it last week, but I feel like a stolen base is one of the most exciting plays in sports because there's so much anticipation over such a short period of time. But Jazz Chisholm, in my opinion, I believe that he's going to grow into being one of the best players on that Marlins team if he's not already, because they're really young. But he's going to be their leader. He's going to be the face of their franchise. I think that he's going to be the guy who's going to eventually lead them to the playoffs. I don't know that he has what it takes to lead them to a World Series, but he's going to help them get back in the playoffs.
We don't know.
And a legitimate playoff berth.
I agree with that. The only hesitation I really have with him is we haven't seen too much from him yet, not enough for my money, and two, being that in the franchise he's a part of, there's so much turmoil, there's so much turnover of players, there's so much going on all the time that you just don't know if they're going to value him at the level he deserves to be valued at, and I think I can see him getting traded away, and then we'll see what we need from him.
So, and I can see that because of the history of the franchise. However, what I say to that, though, is that I feel like when Derek Jeter and those guys came in, I feel like what they did was they were like, okay, we have all these guys who have reached their ceiling. And they're like Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto, Giancarlo Stanton. Those guys had reached that group had reached its ceiling in Miami. And they said, the best thing we can do, and I saw this with the Mariners too, is just tear it down and start over again. So I think that what's happening in Miami is Derek Jeter and his guys are like, okay, Chisholm is going to be our cornerstone. I think
he's Anthony Rizzo.
Yes, right? I think that they really like him because they're already putting him out there to represent the team. As like their young guy who they're going to be like, let's build him up, let's build a rapport with the fan base and everything, because we want him to be our guy. Yeah. And so I don't think that they would necessarily trade him. I think if they're gonna if he does get to the point where he deserves a big fat contract, I think they're gonna give him what they can because they want some consistency. Derek Jeter understands the importance of consistency, the role that it can play,
for sure,
and not just in a player's career, but also the franchise as far as like appealing to the fan base, stuff like that. So
I think he understands it as well, if not better, than a lot of players and owners and managers and agents and everything.
Yep, exactly. So I think they're going to keep him around as long as he earns his spot there.
Cool. I love it. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to go next.
Okay,
since it's my turn. There's two of us. I'll go next. Okay, I'm going to go with a guy who's has been an all-star one time.
Okay,
he has a Silver Slugger. Career WAR of 10.8. We've seen a career lasting. Let's see, this will be his 6th season. 2022 will be number 6 for him, where he does again turn 25 in his 2022 season. Okay. So his batting average 279, OBP 338, slugging 509, OPS 847. Okay. This dude, first of all, this dude can rake, right? And he has had defensive issues in the past with range and some errors committed and things like that. But it's okay to have a guy at third base who's maybe got a tiny bit of an issue at defensively, not enough to make him a liability, because there's not enough to consider him a liability. We wondered, though, and I'm going to drop the reveal here in a minute, so stay with me. But we wondered about it, and his Cabbage Patch cheeks. It's Raphael Devers.
I wondered if you were going to grab Devers.
The fact is, he's so good.
He is so good.
He's so good. And what kills me is that over those 5 years, not only have we seen his WAR is in a good spot for where he is in his career, he's got postseason baseball experience and does well in the postseason, well enough. What I love about Devers is that his transformation from are we going to have a problem here to he's now a problem for everybody else is the reason he has got to be on this list for me.
That's solid. And I was looking for a fifth guy, and actually it was funny. I was like, I got to have a fifth guy, but I already had 5. But so I pulled up a list of the top 25 players under 25, and he was on there, and I was like, I almost grabbed him just because I didn't think you would. But it kills me that you grabbed your absolute least favorite player in the league simply because of his Cabbage Patch cheeks. But no, he is a problem. He's a legitimate problem for everybody the Red Sox face.
Every single 100%.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to just love him for that. You have to.
You do. That's awesome. That's so funny.
You're welcome, Mike. I don't think Mike Farnes would have let me live it down if I didn't include Raphael Devers in my list. I just don't think he would have.
That's solid. That's really good.
And I didn't make the decision for Mike. It just happens to be a nice little bonus.
Awesome. All right. The next one. Do you mind if I go ahead? Are you done with Devers?
Oh, I think you should go. It's probably your turn.
All right. Okay. The next guy I have, he's actually another third baseman.
Ooh.
Not Raphael Devers. This guy turned 25 13 days ago. So some of these guys are like right up there at the top, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It counts.
But he has 2 seasons in the big leagues. He hasn't. I mean, he was there for the entire time this last year, but he hasn't put together like a full season yet. But I think that this team is trying to make him be their next franchise guy, which is why they traded away their other franchise guy this last year to the Padres in Adam Frazier.
Yes.
Are you Ke'Bryan Hayes?
Hayes. He almost made my list as well. I was just like, he doesn't have enough service time for me.
And see, that's the thing for me is like I'm willing to take a guy who's exciting his first couple of years, who's kind of like a flash in the pan. Like he only played 25 or 24 games in 2020, which is a whole lot more than what it sounds like because of the season the way it was. He played 96 games this year, but if you watch this dude, he's exciting, man. He's really exciting. He's fun to watch. He hit 257 this year. He did only hit 6 home runs, but he stole 9 bases. I think he's working himself up to being the next guy who the Pirates can trade and get a haul back for. Because let's be honest, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it is.
Adam Frazier, Josh Bell, all of them. It happens. Garrett Cole. It happens to all of them. It happens to all of them in Pittsburgh. It's unfortunate, but that's the way they're running things these days. They're trying to flip their prospects and stars, but they're not.
It's not real estate, guys.
Exactly. You're never gonna see a return if you don't let it mature. So
yeah.
But anyway, Ke'Bryan Hayes is another one of my guys I like to watch. Honestly, like anybody who wears a Pirates uniform, I'm going to pay attention to simply because of the name across the chest.
Totally. I'm the same way. I love, yes. We have both Brad and I have an affinity for piratical things.
Piratical.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see Brad as displaying why.
Yes, exactly. For sure.
For those of you listening, jump on 9plusus.com and check out the pirate baseball line we have. It's actually a lot of fun. Okay.
Do one more and then we'll take a break.
All right. Next for me is a guy who this will be his 4th season in the big leagues. He's going to turn 23 this year. He's been not only in the All-Star lineup, but he's been an All-Star MVP. He's got a Silver Slugger award. He has a batting average career 289. His WAR is at 9.5. And again, that's in 3 complete seasons. We've got an OBP 367, slugging 517, OPS 884. The dude is just so much fun to watch. Now, it gets even better. Look, in 2019, when he was 20 years old, he played 123 games. He played 60 games and led the league in 2020 during the COVID season. And he played 161 games last year, which was his all-star year. Okay. This is Vlad Guerrero Jr.
He's also on my list.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
There we go. It happens every time. He plays third base occasionally. He's a first baseman.
Mm-hmm. So this is one of my things with Vlad is that his dad was electric, right?
Bro.
Like absolutely electric. One of the best hitters that our generation saw growing up.
For sure.
And punctuated by his ability to hit a ball bouncing off the ground, right? He was one of the best bad ball pitchers we've ever seen.
100%. You just flick the bat and it goes.
Yeah, and this is one of the things. And also, side note, my wife's favorite player. But anyway, one of them.
True story.
So him coming up with a well-known and Hall of Fame dad, the microscope has been on him since day one. Since we first heard, did you hear Vlad Guerrero's got a kid coming up?
Yeah.
Pretty good, right? Like ever since we first started hearing that, it's like, okay, let's keep track of this guy. Keep track of him. Like, I think the last time I paid attention to somebody who wasn't a Mariner coming up through the minor league system might have been Bryce Harper,
right?
Or Gordon Beckham, because I had drafted him on my fantasy team. Like, yeah, the White Sox are going to pull him up, and they did. But nobody besides Vlad Guerrero Jr. And he's delivered. He's delivered. The way the ball totally explodes off his bat is unreal.
It's unreal. And that home run derby, I'll never forget that, ever. Mm-hmm. It was insane. I cannot believe he lost. I still can't believe it. But that was one of the most exciting home run derbies I've ever experienced. It was it was with Polar Bear Pete. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Two young bucks? Like, it was magical. Oh, I loved it. So he finished 6th in the Rookie of the Year voting, and that just seems to be a travesty for me. But again, I mean, I don't get a vote, so
yeah, it's true. Well, and
he struck out a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, this year he was a runner-up in the MVP, and some argue he maybe should have won it because of what he did with his team, putting him on the brink of the playoffs, where Shohei Ohtani's team was nowhere near. Yep. But yeah, no, it's a solid pick. With that, let's take a quick break and we'll get back. And I actually only have 2 more now because we just overlapped on one. So we'll get back.
I only have 2 more as well.
2, and we'll wrap things up.
The None Other Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week, you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports, from current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the None Other Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back, baseball family. We have each got 2 remaining long-term loves, I guess we're calling them. I don't know. Players that we hope to be in a long-term relationship with Major League Baseball, okay?
As fans,
yes. We're very excited about remaining on either scorecard because Brad thinks that we will only line up on one of them. I think we're going to line up on both. And I'm excited to have him be wrong. So let's see. Let's see how it goes, Brad. I think you should go first.
Okay. Yeah, it would be my turn anyway, since there's, again, 2 of us.
Yes. If this was musical chairs.
Yes. So I'm going to start with the one that I think we're going to overlap on, like, certainly. Okay. So I'm going to start with this is a guy who, quite honestly, the day he made his major league debut, I was like, oh, snap.
Mm-hmm.
There's that. Took the league absolutely by storm. Another son of a player, right? Has been in the league for 3 years now. He finished top 3 in the Rookie of the Year, has finished top 5 in the MVP, both 2020 and 2021. Just when you look up the definition for electric in the dictionary, his picture is next to it. And part of that is and I think if there was a GIF, it would be when he scored from second on a pop fly to the grass just outside of the infield dirt. And so we all know who I'm talking about. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. the third.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he is one of my absolute favorite players in baseball right now.
100%. He's got a WAR at 13.6. His batting average is sitting at a solid 292 right now. Mm-hmm. He had 52 stolen bases in his career. 25 of them was in 2021. 25 of them were in 2021. I can speak the Englishes. So his OBP career 369, slugging 596, OPS .965. I love watching this dude play baseball.
Me too. And don't discount this, Brig. He led the league in home runs in 2021 with 42. He led the National League. And that was only with playing 130 games.
I know.
He missed time because of a recurring shoulder injury.
It's insane. And we have playoff baseball experience with him as well. He's been involved in one wild card game and one division series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is the thing, though, is that like the Padres went ahead and paid him. They're just like, yeah, we're going to want you around for a long time, because this is the thing, is that he not only contributes on the field as just a beast, right? 100%. Like we went through his numbers. Like you want that on your team, but also the draw. Like I would drive to San Diego to see him play if that was the only chance I got to see him. I'm planning on going to see the Padres in town at least once this year, whenever baseball happens, just so I can watch Tatis play. I've seen Machado play, but Tatis was not playing that day in spring training, so I'm going to like go out of my way to watch the Padres this year here in Phoenix.
100%.
So, and I'm sure that I'm not alone in that sentiment.
No, you're not. And when they show up to Atlanta at Truist, I might have to do the same, because it's like no miss baseball.
It
like
is.
You have to have this experience.
Oh, and he's one of those players where you can't look away either.
Right.
Like if he's on defense, you want to watch what's going on. If he's up at the plate, you cannot blink because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's right. And if he gets on base, watch out. Stuff's going down.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. His defensive numbers are also amazing, by the way. Let's not discount that. And I think we've kind of brushed past that with all of our picks previously, but none of them are slouches on defense. None.
Right.
Even Devers.
And this is the funny thing, too, is that a lot of people this last year were like killing Tatis for like, oh, his throwing errors, blah, blah, all this stuff. It's like, but there's some guys where, yes, they're going to make throwing errors, but the reason it's a throwing error is because he's making a play the guy across the street couldn't make.
Not just across the street. The next four shortstops would be hard-pressed to even attempt.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
there's a lot there. A lot going on there. All right, here's your last one, Brig.
We could go into it more, but we won't. Okay, so let me pull him up. My last one is let's see, he might be the youngest guy on my list, actually. He's entering his 23-year-old season this season. I think Tatis is also in his and so is Vlad. Vlad, Tatis, and this guy are all entering their age 23 season.
Okay.
This guy came in 2018 and played 116 games his rookie year. By the way, he was runner-up rookie of the year voting that year in 2018. That should give it away. He's never, in the subsequent 3 years, has never ranked lower than top 10 in the MVP voting. He's got a couple of silver sluggers. He's been on an all-star team. He has won the batting title, and he's a World Series champion. And he's turning 23 this year.
And an infielder?
Oh, no, he's not an infielder. What have I done?
Oh, no.
That's how exciting it was. Brad, you should go.
All right.
What have I done?
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there. Let's really save that, though. Let's not reveal. Let's not reveal who that was, and we'll save it. Okay. Outfielder, right? Outfielder? Yes. Yeah, we'll save it for next week when we do outfielders, because I think we should make this a 3-part episode. So,
dang, I'm back at it.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring this guy in. Okay, so this guy is also 23.
Okay,
this is actually going to be his. I think this will be his age 24 season, because he's going to turn 24 right before the season is supposed to start. Rob Manfred apparently says that things are on track, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, we don't trust Rob anyway.
No, we don't. But this is another son of a former player, right?
Yes, I know who you're going to say.
And he's got a career WAR 9.3. He made his debut in 2019, played 46 games, played 29 in 2020, played 159 in 2021, made the All-Star team, finished 12th in the MVP voting. Pretty impressive for a guy who was overshadowed a lot by a player on his team.
Yeah.
This is Bo Bichette.
It's Bo Bichette. Yeah.
Now, I have to tell you, first off, I have an affinity for middle infielders because they do stuff that I was never able to do.
Well, yes.
Like, ever. Like, playing baseball, not a chance. I was a catcher and a third baseman. There's a reason I played those positions, right? So,
Yeah.
I love watching middle infielders more than most positions in the game. And Bo Bichette is another shortstop to the list. Another guy who's just like he is great. He is absolutely outstanding defensively, but there's something about his effortless swing because Vlad's got a violent swing, right? Like you don't want to be within 10 feet of him when he's swinging the bat.
Yeah,
but Bo
exactly
Bichette's
right.
swing is so smooth and effortless, but the ball just explodes off the bat.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it just screams out of the field, out of the ballpark when he hits it. And that's one of the things I love is that he just makes baseball look so smooth, so easy when he plays it. And it is kind of funny because his picture on Baseball Reference, he looks like he's like a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Like,
and one
like
eye's kind of squinty.
Yeah, like like that half smile. It looks like he's like taking like his junior year picture and he just happens to have a Blue Jays hat on.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right, give me a chance to salvage myself, can we?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Who you got?
Because I have another guy that I didn't want to put on my list because everybody else on my list had like established themselves officially and had some longevity, as much as we can call it that within the first 4 or 5 seasons. But this guy is first. This guy is so exciting for a number of reasons. Let me say he's been in the league 1 year. Okay, and I love it. He played 70 games in 2021. Okay. In that time, he rounded out a batting average of 288, an OBP 347, slugging at 463, and an OPS at 810. Whew. Man, that's exciting. Okay. He has successfully stolen 5 bases. Nope, 2. That's his average. I'm sorry. He's successfully stolen 2 bases in 70 games. He is a shortstop / and/or third baseman because he's still young. He already has a career WAR in 70 games of 3.5, which is very exciting.
70 games?
In 70 games. He's already got a career WAR of 3.5. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, the other thing about this guy is it's Wander Franco. Sorry. It's Wander Franco.
Solid pick.
And the reason I'm choosing him, okay, first of all, he will be, come on, computer. We all thought that he was going to be like there was all this hype about him being the savior down on the Rays, right? And we were like, oh man, don't believe the hype. We got to see what he'll have the yips when he first gets there, like everybody else does. And he never did, right? He
didn't.
There was no concern at all. He just rolled into town and like climbed up the ivory tower and sat there. And we were like, dude, who are you? Like, you're not, this is against the rules, bro. And he didn't get sent back down to my knowledge. I don't think he got sent back down at all. Did he?
No, he didn't. And he finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting to his teammate.
Yep.
Randy Arozarena, who, in my opinion, the only reason Arozarena won the Rookie of the Year was because he was there for the entire season. If they had not potentially, I'm going to put in quotes, gone and manipulated his service time and called him up earlier, like apparently he was ready to do, he may very well have won the Rookie of the Year.
100% possible. And his nickname is Patron.
What does that mean?
Which is remarkable for a 20-year-old person.
What is it? Do you know what that means? What does that mean?
Patron, doesn't it mean father or like?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it means father. It's like an honorific title.
I'm not sure what exactly it means. I'm going to look it up right now, though.
Yeah, you look it up. Tell me if I'm wrong.
My Spanish is not fantastic. That apparently obviously is not one that I know. So according to Google, okay. Well, so this is kind of funny. The first thing it gave me was Patronus. Thank you, Harry
Like
Potter.
Expecto?
Yeah, Expecto Patronum. I know that's not right, but Patron. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it means pattern.
No.
Pattern. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Brig, though. Like, what do you do with a pattern?
Right.
You use the pattern to make more copies.
So it's the mold. It's more
He's
like
the mold. He's the original.
mold.
And
I don't think
that might be a cultural Spanish thing that you and I don't quite
that's
understand.
true. That's true.
That if he's like the original, the best, and we want to try to make everybody else like him, then maybe he is El Patron, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's where it comes from.
That's cool.
So
that's cool. All I know is that I've heard people refer to other people as Patron when it's like, I'm a little bit afraid of you. I'm going to give you all the deference possible. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, no, that's a solid pick. I don't know why.
Wander Franco. Thanks for rolling with my gaff there, baseball family. I don't know what happened. I was just really excited to talk about that other person. I guess you'll stay tuned for next time when we talk about outfielders under 25, and I will reveal who that person is in remaining my number one pick.
And that's what we call a tease. But baseball family, let us know who you think are some of your favorite players. Who are some players who you love? Infielders under 25 years old. Did we leave somebody off that list? I'm sure we did. There are plenty of guys out there. Like we said, there is a ton of young talent in baseball right now. So let us know who you think we left off the list, who we should have addressed. Submit that in the mailbag at baseballtogether.com. There's also a link in the description. As always, you can tap that link. It'll take you right to the page where you just fill out the form. Just give us your name so we know who to give a shout out to, and also put your list in there for us so we can see it, because we want to see what you think about it.
Yeah, you can also leave us a voicemail on baseballtogether.com. Don't forget about that. And while you're at it, there's a link to the shop on there as well at 9plusus.com, where you can jump in and grab official Baseball Together swag, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stuff, and more to come. We're updating things actively right now. So
yes, we are.
If you expect, or if you've been waiting for some changes to take place with like t-shirt colors and hat colors and different combinations and stuff, that is happening right now.
Yes, it is. Very good. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Let us know what you think, where we can improve, or what you think we're doing great. The baseball family, thank you again for joining us, and we will catch you next week.